who misses out totally. Fabio Vieira starts in midfield as Granit Xhaka fails to make the 11 for the first time this season, while Thomas Partey returns in place of Jorginho. Fellow Brazilian Gabriel Jesus is closing in a return from a long-term injury problem, not quite ready for this one though. Things are getting tight at the bottom with Bournemouth 19th in the table, but very much still in the mix for survival, just a point off 17th place Leeds. Though the Cherries were well beaten home to Man City last time out, 4 points from 6, have shown they're very much up to the task. However, concerning defensive record has seen them ship 47 goals in 24 games. League's worst will need to be improved upon today. Dango Utara from Lorient has provided a much needed boost to the creativity department, heavily involved in Bournemouth's improvement form. Once again starts on the left with O'Neill making 2 changes in a loss against City. Rothwell comes in for Lerma in midfield, whilst it's a start for January signing Antoine Semenyo out on the wide right. Bournemouth haven't had the best of record against the Gunners in London, losing all 6 of their previous meetings convincingly, including the 3-0 reverse in August to the Vitality Stadium also. On top of that, can Bournemouth get a result today against the odds? Keep listening to find out here on Football Live to find out.
Richard, Arsenal, of course, this season, they exceeded some expectations, didn't they? When everyone thought it was going to be Manchester City and Liverpool probably head-to-head. No one was expecting Manchester United to, with their latest awake with Eric Ten Hag. But can this season be the season that Arsenal can win the league? I mean, the last time they won it was in 2003.
Well, it's been a great season, really. You know, we haven't seen all the twists and turns that keep happening, but Arsenal keep on winning. They keep on coming back. They had that little blip, like I said, but why can't they win it? They've been performing consistently through the year. Good defence, good attack coming forward. So we shall see as the weeks progress, but at the moment, they're top.
Thank you very much, Richard. Next, we head to the Molineux, where Wolverhampton Wanderers will be hosting Tottenham Hotspur. Now, Spurs have been impressive with their assistant manager Salini taking charge, giving time for Conte to recover fully from his surgery, trying to cement the 4th place for now. But Wolves, who have their own battle on their hands with relegation, is only 3 points below them. Jackson Calder's watching that match and with the team news. Good afternoon, Jackson.
Afternoon, John. Well, as you mentioned, Antonio Conte, he remains away from the dugout as he continues his recovery from gallbladder surgery. But it's like he's never left, with his stand-in, Christian Salini, making a ruthless overhaul to the team's starting 11. 5 changes have been made from their FA Cup defeat to Sheffield United on Wednesday night. Harry Kane, who's sporting some boots, paying tribute to the fact he's now the club's all-time top scorer, unsurprisingly makes a return, as do Christian Romero, Dejan Kulusevski, Oliver Skipp and Clement Longley. Richarlison, Davinson Sanchez, Eric Dyer, Lucas Moura and Pape Matar Sarr all drop down to the bench. As for the home side, Julen Lopetegui has made 3 changes from their midweek defeat at Liverpool in the league, with Johnny Otto, Pedro Neto and Diego Costa, who had a fair few run-ins with Spurs defenders during his time at Chelsea, coming in for the injured Hector Bueno and Mateus Nunes, while Raul Jimenez is left out. This is a crucial match for both teams for different reasons, as Wolves look to stay away from the relegation zone, while Tottenham look to tighten their grip on 4th place. Kick-off at Molineux moments away.
Jackson, thank you very much for the updates. We'll come to you very, very shortly. Our 4th match in the Premier League involves Aston Villa against Crystal Palace. Both teams are sitting 11th and 12th respectively and only separated by 3 points. However, a win for Villa, and if Chelsea lose today, they will overtake them as they are both level on points. Palace haven't been at the best of form lately, and here is Patrick Vieira touching on that particular concern.
I think before thinking about winning the game is about the performance. It's about how do we play well in possession, out of possession, and having a good performance that will allow us to win football matches. If we didn't win games, we are still missing those important details in games to allow ourselves to win those games. No, there is no phase. We know that it's important to turn those good performance into a win. We know what we have to do, what he will take to win those games, and then it's just about going on the field and performing for 95 minutes.
And we have Isaac Dilks for the team news. Good afternoon, Isaac.
Yeah, good afternoon everyone from Villa Park. As you say, John, the definition of a mid-table battle here as 11th place Villa take on 12th place Crystal Palace. Palace were 3-1 winners at Selhurst Park when these two sides met early in the season. Wilf Zaha scored a brace as the Eagles took all 3 points at home way back in August. Just the 2 changes from either side today. Villa earned a 2-0 win over Everton last time out, and Emi Buendia's substitute goal earns him a place in the starting 11, alongside a return for Alex Moreno at left-back replacing Luca Dean. Palace gained a hard-earned point away at Anfield previously. Wilfried Zaha returns from a hamstring strain to replace Jeffrey Schlupp, and Eberechi Eze, a player of Nigerian descent, although he played his youth England football, starts here today. Kickoff is just moments away here at Villa Park.
Thank you very much. Our final Premier League match that we are keeping an eye on today is from the MX Stadium. It's Brighton against West Ham. Brighton having the best season in their history, with De Zerbi replacing Potter a few months ago, but he managed to keep the ship sailing nicely. However, West Ham, they will try to keep that good form going after the 4-0 win against Nottingham Forest last week. But fans can tell you that Brighton is not Forest. Let's listen to Zebri's full admiration for today's opponents, West Ham United.
I watched the game in FA Cup, in Manchester, and this moment they are in a good condition, in a good moment. They won the game 4-0 Saturday, I think. Yes, against Nottingham. They have great players. I like Paquetá, Rice, Inks, Scamacca, Ogbonna. And for sure it will be a difficult game.
We have our senior reporter Ed Downing watching this game. Good afternoon, Ed.
Good afternoon, John. Good afternoon to everyone else listening, and welcome to the South Coast and to the Amex Stadium, where both teams today, Brighton and West Ham, come in mixed form, you should say. 2 wins, 2 draws and a loss for both teams in the last 5 games. However, the 2 situations differ, as Brighton are fighting for European football and West Ham are fighting for their survival in the Premier League. Funny fact before we get started, both teams have conceded the exact same amount of goals with 29, but it just so happens that Brighton have scored 16 more in the Premier League, with West Ham scoring the same as Chelsea with 23 goals. So that tells you everything you need to know about West Ham and Chelsea. But let's start with the teams. Let's kick off with the hosts. It's Brighton, with Steele in goal, with Robert Sanchez dropped to the bench this week. Tariq Lamptey, Lewis Dunk, the captain, Adam Webster and Pervis Estupiñán comprise the back 4. Moses Caicedo, who recently signed a new deal until 2027, comes in midfield with Pascal Gross. A dangerous attacking 3 of Mitoma, McAllister and Solly March are behind the young prospect Evan Ferguson, who has been in hot form recently. As for the visitors, West Ham, they're playing a 4-3-3 with Areola in goal, Barbieri, Okwana, Aguerd and Johnson with the back 4, a midfield 3 of Paquetá, Rice and Souček, and an attacking 3 of Ben Rama, Ings and Bowen. This has always been an interesting fixture. Brighton seemingly have the upper hand over West Ham in previous Premier League games, but let's see. I know there's going to be a lot of goals here today, John.
Ed, West Ham under David Moyes over the last couple of seasons, they finished 6th and 7th, which is very good for the club. However, this season is not really living up to the expectations. What's the difference between this season and the previous 2?
I think with a lot of their senior players that have performed for them so well for so long, the likes of Souček and Koufal, and you could even argue players like Okwana. I think Rice has been pretty good this season. Areola, who they brought in, has been very poor. I just think their squad has needed a refresh for a while now, and the players they brought in, like Gamaka, Paquetá, who has shown signs, hasn't really done it so far. I just think they're a team in transition, which you hear quite a lot, and they haven't transitioned particularly well so far under David Moyes. I think he has struggled to get these new players playing well in this team. Will they come good towards the end of the season? I think they will. I think David Moyes is a really good manager, but only time will tell. And I think West Ham fans will be hoping to get a positive result here today at the South Coast.
Thank you very much. That's Ed Dowling from the Amex Stadium. Of course, we said we're keeping an eye on all the games, and I'll be keeping up to date with every single goal that goes in the Premier League. And also, as we mentioned, we keep an eye on a couple of games in Europe. The first one is in Serie A, and it's Monza, in fact, against Empoli. And for halftime report from Andrew Bonacore.
Good afternoon, John. Well, it's been a very entertaining first half between 11th and 12th place in Serie A, but it's Monza who go in a goal up after Patrick Ciuria was played in by Andrea Petagna to hammer the ball past Perisan. After that, Monza really took control with decent chances to go further ahead, and although Empoli are not quite yet up and running, it's an interesting game nonetheless, and hopefully many more goals to come. At half-time, it's Monza 1, Empoli 0.
Not even a minute gone. Arsenal fans, this doesn't look good. It's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1. We literally hit the 30-second mark, and Bournemouth has taken the lead at the Emirates Stadium. We'll be going to Richard Bond very, very shortly on that important goal that Arsenal have conceded. Now, this is not the start that we're expecting. Like we said, on paper, it looks 3 points for Arsenal, but Bournemouth got their own problems, being in the bottom three, but we'll be going to Richard Bond very, very shortly. I can tell you that Philip Billing has scored the goal for Bournemouth. Well, Arsenal fans, what do you think of that? What is happening today with Arsenal? Of course, you can interact with us on social media using the hashtag FootballNG when we go later on at half-time to speak with FJ, and here's just a reminder how.
Don't forget to interact with us on social media here at Brilla FM, at Brilla FM 889 on Twitter, and on Facebook at 889 Brilla FM.
Like we said, we'll be going to Richard Bond very, very shortly on the news of that goal. However, let's go to the Bundesliga. There's a few games happening at the moment. It's Augsburg 1, Werder Bremen 1 after 32 minutes. Borussia Mönchengladbach 0, Freiburg 0. Union Berlin 0, Cologne 0, Bochum 0, Schalke 0, and Mainz 0, Hoffenheim 0. And let's go to Jake Bowers for a quick update from Mainz. Good afternoon, Jake.
Good afternoon, John. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, as you said, it is 8th place Mainz taking on 14th place Hoffenheim. Now, Mainz are aiming to extend that winning streak in the Bundesliga as they host Hoffenheim today, as I said. Both Svensson's side have taken the 12 points from the possible 15 in the last 5, so they do deserve a lot of shine. And Hoffenheim have had a dismal season so far, even after their new manager came in early February. Their fortunes haven't yet turned around, and it is the same for this game. It's a very even affair so far. Both teams looking to knock on that door and really get started. But Hoffenheim need to go into this game for a win. Anything else is unacceptable, as they will then enter relegation playoff, and they really don't want to get involved in that, as they are on now level on points with Hertha Berlin and Bochum. It's a big game for Hoffenheim, and Mainz are just coasting on some wins, so they'll also want it more. It's going to be an interesting game to see, but as it stands, we are currently Mainz 0, Hoffenheim 0.
Thank you very much, Jake. Like I said, the Premier League so far is 0-0 all the games except for one. Chelsea against Leeds, Wolverhampton Wanderers against Tottenham, Aston Villa against Crystal Palace, and Brighton against West Ham. They're all 0-0. However, we've just had a goal in Germany. And as we just came back from Jake Bowers, it's Mainz who've taken the lead against Hoffenheim. It's Mainz 1, Hoffenheim 0. We'll be going to Jake Bowers very, very shortly on the news of that goal. And I believe we can... in fact, just before we go to Richard Bond, there's been another goal, and this time at Villa Park. It's goals from the word go, and it's Aston Villa 0, Crystal Palace 1. I mean, Crystal Palace, we heard from Patrick Vieira talking about the form that they're in recently. But I tell you what, it's a great start. Not even 5 minutes on the clock. They have taken the lead at Villa Park, and I believe we can go to Richard Bond on the news of that early Bournemouth goal against Arsenal. Richard.
Oh, it's unbelievable stuff, John. Well, Bournemouth literally must have been from the kickoff. About 9 seconds on the clock, they've taken the lead. Otara, who I just happen to think would have a good game today, he's started so well for Bournemouth, went down the right-hand side, no one was challenging him. Just put a ball into the box. He's found Billing. The Arsenal defence just backed off, and he's just slipped it in from about 5 yards. Unbelievable stuff against all the odds. Arsenal are behind. It's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1.
I mean, Richard, there's only 5 minutes gone here, but surely Manchester City can have a bit of a hope, can they, in trying to catch up with Arsenal, just looking at that result as it stands. Of course, it's early doors, but would that knock confidence off Arsenal a bit?
Well, they've shown that they've come fighting straight back. You know, Odegaard's had smashed a really good shot from the edge of the box recently, and Saka's looked quite lively. They looked a bit shell-shocked from it, but it's riled them up more than anything. Arsenal are going to try their best to come back into this one sooner rather than later. Yes, you say Man City have closed the gap. They won at lunchtime, so it's down to 2 points now. So having those early kickoffs do perhaps sometimes get in the heads of players. I'm not sure, but Arsenal trying their best to come back into this one. But at the moment, they're behind. It's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1, 6 minutes on the clock.
And as we mentioned, it's Villa 0, Palace 1. And in fact, the goal has been disallowed. So still Aston Villa 0, Crystal Palace 0. But let's go to Isaac Dilks, just some news on that goal and why it's been disallowed. Isaac.
Yeah, it was a brilliant finish by Wilfried Zaha. It looks like there's a possible offside, which is in the build-up, which has caused this goal to be disallowed. But it's a very good move from Crystal Palace. A very cool finish from the Palace talisman, Wilfried Zaha. He's fed in behind the back four from the left-hand side, one-on-one with Emi Martinez, and he slips it just left of him, just rolls it under his feet and finishes with his weak foot. An excellent finish, but unfortunately for Crystal Palace, it's going to count for nothing here. Villa started the brighter team, looked to be begged back, but they've got a lifeline here. It's Aston Villa 0, Crystal Palace 1 Crystal Palace 0 after it was ruled out after 6 minutes.
Isaac, of course, Villa finished second in the very first Premier League when it started back in 1992. Now, can Unai Emery bring back the days when they actually finish in the top 2 or top 3, or is it harder now with the likes of Arsenal, Manchester City, Chelsea? I know they're not in the top 4, but they're spending more money than Villa do.
Well, Villa have always been a very well-off club over the last few years, but unfortunately they've been languishing in the Championship. Emery can definitely push them for European places. He's a brilliant manager. Didn't quite work out for him at Arsenal, and he became a bit of a joke figure in the English media, unfortunately for him. But he's proved at Villarreal he's a quality manager. And with good amount of funding and more quality signings, as they've made already this season, look at them in 11th, doing very well since he's came in and since they moved on from the Steven Gerrard era. There's no reason they can't push on for Europa League or maybe even a Champions League spot in a few years. But unfortunately for them, still 0-0 at the moment versus Crystal Palace after 7 minutes, John.
Thank you very much, Isaac. Next, let's go to Jake Barrows. We mentioned that Mainz have took the lead against Hoffenheim. Jake, tell us about that goal.
The goal itself wasn't pretty, but who cares when it's a goal? It's a potential 3 points for Mainz, which could really boost their spirits. And Hoffenheim's day goes from bad to worse with that goal. It was a cross initially from a corner from Stefan Bell. It bobbled around in the box quite a bit, and it was Leandro Barrera Martins who got the goal. It bounced around in the box again. Oliver Baumann, no chance of getting it. Bobbled in off the left post for a goal for Mainz. They are currently 1-0 up, and Hoffenheim's fortunes are looking bad right now as they have dropped into the relegation places pending a Bochum result. As it stands, Mainz 1, Hoffenheim 0.
I mean, Jake, Mainz, just quickly, they're only 3 points behind European places, and surely that win can really inspire them trying to overtake teams like Eintracht Frankfurt and Freiburg.
Absolutely. Like you said, Bo Svensson deserves a lot of praise for this season. He has taken a lot of points from games that have been difficult, and he's turned the fortunes of the club in a forward direction. So we're going to be looking for a good result today if Mainz do get it. And like you said, it will really push them on maybe for a European push. as other teams may fall off towards the end of the season. This has got to be very positive for Mainz fans.
Thank you very much. That is Jake Bowers from Mainz reporting on the game in the Bundesliga. However, let's go to Stamford Bridge. Chelsea against Leeds, nearly 10 minutes gone. Ash Sandiford, any news of a goal and how Chelsea playing in the first 10 minutes?
Yeah, still 0-0 here as it stands. It's a pretty even game, to be honest with you. Chelsea on the opening exchanges have really tried to keep the ball quite well. And there's a small chance just on the right-hand side. Raheem Sterling's been getting the better of Verpo on the left-hand side. And he's chipped it back post. And João Felix just headed it just across the goalkeeper. But the goalkeeper just comfortably let it go wide. So he seen it through. So it's really comfortable. But so far, Chelsea have been really well. They've been getting to the byline as much as they can. Chilwell, wild challenge actually from Ben Chilwell really early on against Somerville. Somerville nearly got his ankle taken off, to be honest with you. It was really, really wild. And the referee, Michael Oliver, just pulled him over and just had a quiet word with him. So I think Chilwell's already on his last legs, potentially could get a booking. But so far as it stands, early exchanges here, it's still Chelsea 0, Leeds 0.
Now, don't you love it when you hear this? It means a goal somewhere in the games that we're actually covering today, and this time it's in Italy. It's now Monza 1, Empoli 1. Let's go to Andrew Ponacora and a goal for the equaliser for Empoli.
Yeah, it's an equalising goal for Empoli, and it's the Empoli striker who's equalised. It went all the way through. It was a cross from the left, an in-swinging corner, and to be honest, the Monza defence just couldn't handle it. It was Satriano who the ball eventually found its way to. A couple of Empoli players had bites at the cherry, but Monza really should have dealt with it. Nothing the keeper could do. And as I said, Empoli with a few chances in the first half. Nothing great, but they're back in the game now. And although the keeper tried his best to keep it out, Empoli have drawn level. It's now Monza 1, Empoli 1.
Thank you very much. That's Andrew Bonacore watching the second half from Monza against Empoli. Now, we did mention earlier that, of course, Arsenal are losing by a goal to nil at home, conceding after about around 30 seconds or so. So let's go to Richard Bond on any developments at the Emirates. Richard, Arsenal, are they trying to get back into the game?
They're flying, Arsenal, at the moment. They're going for the juggler in the early doors. It feels it's 100 miles an hour. All Arsenal since the goal. Bukayo Saka had an absolutely outstanding curling effort when he's produced a really good save from there, diving into his left top hand corner just to tip it wide. Really good save. Can't describe it more than that. We also had a good chance for Odegaard, which I spoke about last time you came, and then Saka again breaking free just on the edge of the box to send a shot just across goal minutes ago. It's all Arsenal at the moment now. We've got 12 minutes on the clock. It looks like how long can Bournemouth hold on to at the moment, because they're really not dealing with Arsenal's attack very well at the second. But at the moment, though, it's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1.
I mean, what would Gary O'Neill do? Would he actually get 11 players behind the ball for the whole rest of the 90 minutes or so? Or would he try to catch Arsenal on the break at some stage?
I think really they need to just get a foothold on this game, really get the ball and just have a bit of possession for a while. I don't think you can really sit back on Arsenal. They're going to punish you if they get the chances. It's only a matter of time before they will score. So it's about trying to limit the play in the final third to them and the supply from particularly the wide areas, which they seem to be getting a bit of luck at the moment. They're playing sort of 4 at the back. They did try the 5 against City last week, and they did end up getting quite badly punished in the end, conceding 4. It's been a reoccurring problem, but they've conceded a lot of goals against a lot of the top sides this season. So it could be a case of trying to go for a second goal is not a bad thing to do, at the moment. But they're in front at the moment, and it's still Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1 after 14 minutes on the clock.
Thank you very much, Richard. Let's go back to Stamford Bridge. Has been a chance for Chelsea, Ash Sandiford, and Chelsea are coming close for a goal by the side of it.
Yeah, they're really pushing, to be honest with you. It's an excellent play again on the left-hand side by Ben Chilwell, and he managed to get himself a corner. So he swung the corner in on the outswinger, and Wesley Fofana's literally rose really, really high. He's absolutely headed it down and the goalkeeper has got no chance. Absolute bullet header, but didn't manage to reach the goal. So it was a really good chance, and Chelsea really starting to dominate possession in the game now. Fofana's getting on the ball at the back quite often and popping it into midfield, and every time Raheem Sterling gets that ball, he's on the attack. So at the moment, it's still 0-0 as it stands here at Stamford Bridge, 14 minutes in.
Now, when you talk about Brighton and West Ham, we do say that actually both teams play very, very exciting football and very entertaining. And we always see quite a lot of goals when both teams are involved. So let's go to Ed Dowling in the Amex Stadium. Is that the case at the moment? And are we coming too close to a goal in between both clubs?
I believe so. Arsenal on the mind. Brighton are prying here at the Amex. They've had a couple of good chances. Evan Ferguson just needs to get that cutting edge on his finishes. Has been a bit weak so far. Areola has had not too much to do between the sticks. So just seeing Tariq Lamptey down here with an injury, just seeing it now. He headed the ball, and as he sort of gets up to sprint, he fouls Paquetá, to be honest, more than he has fouled himself, and he's down injured here. He likely is going to go off. We know he's had trouble with injuries in the past. But it's been a game, it's started quite slowly, to be honest. I think a couple of stray passes here and there, but I'm expecting things to quicken up a bit in the coming minutes, though, John. I can sense a goal coming for sure, but it's 0-0 here, 15 minutes played.
I mean, Ed, we talk about David Moyes before the game, but we cannot mention De Zerbi. We heard him talking with admiration to West Ham, but I think most of the Premier League, or most of the fans who watch the Premier League, they've got admiration for De Zerbi for keeping that ship steady after the departure of Graham Potter.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, De Zerbi is up for manager of the season, potentially, depending on where Brighton finish. I mean, they're in 8th now, I believe. They've maintained a really, really strong level for a club that that isn't particularly used to being at this level of the Premier League or the English football pyramid in general. So he's done a really good job. I think Graham Potter laid the foundations. Will he get the time to do that at Chelsea? I don't think he will. But he's taken Brighton to the next level. I think you look at the likes of Kara Matoma and even Solly March looks a completely different player under him. So let's see what happens. But yeah, no, he's done a fantastic job at Brighton. Better than I think most people would have expected, John, to be honest.
Thank you very much, Ed. We'll be going back for any developments at the Amex Stadium. It's one game that we haven't touched on so far in the Premier League, and that is Wolverhampton against Tottenham. Jackson Cole, Wolverhampton have been they've lost to Liverpool at midweek. Tottenham knocked out of the FA Cup, and what's happening at the moment at the Molineux? Do we see any improvements from the Spurs side, or Wolves more or less playing at home and trying to get a revenge from losing against Liverpool? Just before I come to you, there has been a goal at the Amex. Now, we just came back from Ed Dowling, who said he can smell a goal, and we have had the first goal in Brighton. It's Brighton 1, West Ham United 0. Brighton 1, West Ham United 0, and believe it is a penalty for Brighton. We'll be going to Ed Dowling very, very shortly on the news of that penalty. But let's go to Jackson Cole on the latest development at the Molineux after 80 minutes. Jackson.
Well, John, you asked me what's going on at Molineux. In truth, nothing much. As you mentioned, both sides lost in midweek, and I'm getting the sense that both teams are just a little bit nervous at the moment. They're just sizing each other up. I mean, there's been a few fouls here and there, but I get the sense that both sides are a little bit nervous after their bad results during the week. Harry Kane, he's been kept quiet. I saw this absolutely fascinating stat about him in my research. Harry Kane, he has not scored a competitive goal for Tottenham outside of London since October the 8th, which I think is absolutely incredible, considering he is Tottenham's all-time top scorer. And Wolves, well, their home league run against Spurs is not so good. They've not won in their last 6, drawing 2 and losing 4. So I think quite a lot of these hoodoos, if you like, are playing on the minds of both sets of players, because there has been very little, by the way, of clear-cut chances at Molineux. It's Wolves 0, Tottenham 0.
I mean, Jackson, you mentioned Harry Kane, and of course, it is a bit of comparison, isn't it, between Kane and Haaland this season. And but Kane, with the goals that he scored, what people consider as an average team comparing to Haaland. I think Kane done very well so far, scoring the 17 goals that he has so far.
Yeah, absolutely. All that hype about Haaland has almost made fans not realise Kane is doing very well himself. 17 in the Premier League. I think it's 20 overall this season. And yeah, he could be very, very happy with his return so far. Still plenty of games to be played. There's obviously going to be lots of speculation about Harry Kane's future. It looks like it will be yet another trophyless season for Tottenham after their FA Cup exit. And, well, all roads appear to lead to Old Trafford. But, well, we know what Daniel Levy can be like when Tottenham, one of Tottenham's prized assets, is attracting interest from other clubs. We saw how Kane looked set to go to Manchester City back in the summer of 2021. That never quite materialised. So, yeah, it's going to be an intriguing few months ahead, that's for sure.
Thank you very much, Jackson. Let's go to the Amex Stadium with the news of that Brighton goal, Ed.
Yeah, John, it's been coming here at the Amex, and it is Alexis McAllister from the spot, converting after Karamatoma dribbles in from the left side. He cuts in, and it's Jared Bowen, and it is a forwards foul. It's quite clumsy. I think West Ham, have an argument to suggest that wasn't quite enough for Matoma to go down, but you know what it's like these days in the Premier League. If there's any contact in the box, they will go down, and it was a penalty. So Alexis McAllister finished with aplomb, top left corner, no problems whatsoever for him, and it's 1-0 to the home side, and David Moyes looks furious on the touchline.
What a season for Alexis McAllister has been, hasn't it, Ed? I mean, winning the World Cup with Argentina, with the Brighton squad being probably the best Brighton season they ever had in history in the top flight. You can't go wrong with that guy, can you?
No, you can't. I mean, this has definitely been the best season of his career. I think winning the World Cup isn't bad, is it? And being, an essential part of that team. We talk about Messi and we talk about Alvarez and Fernandes and all of that, but, it's a Brighton player on the world stage performing, at the really highest level. So for him, I know he said the other day that he would commit to Brighton for the rest of the season at least. So, yeah, he's got the world at his feet at the moment. And I think most teams in the top six would love to have Alexis McAllister in their midfield. I think he offers so much. And he finished that penalty like a striker, to be honest. So, really good season for him. Let's see where he ends up in the summer. There's a lot of talk about Casado, but he's equally as good, I think. And he's a bit older as well. So I think he brings that maturity, John.
Thank you very much, Ed. Now, with all the dominance that Richard Bond was speaking about earlier after Bournemouth taking the lead at the Emirates, it seems like Bournemouth who had the better chance, Richard Bond.
Yes, well, Arsenal, 83% possession so far they've had in this game, and plenty of shots on target as well. But it's Bournemouth who've had this chance, and it's a lovely ball coming in. It's that man, Dango Ouattara, who's looking threatening again on the counter-attack, who's ended up having it after lovely play from Billin, and Solanke had set him up. Ramsdale has just made an absolute blinding save from the shot, from Ouattara, and he's just managed to tip it across the post. He had no reason to be doing that. That should have been in the back of the net, and that should have been 2-0 to Bournemouth. At the moment, though, it's still Arsenal looking the better side, but still behind. It's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1.
So Arsenal really is still expecting the 3 points, Rich. I mean, they are playing at home, and there's plenty of time to go.
Yes, well, there's plenty of time on the clock. Only 23 minutes on the clock. It feels like about 60. The amount of back and forth action we've had in this game is a really entertaining contest, and I can see more goals happening this afternoon. Definitely, it's going to either need a second goal for Bournemouth really to get them over the line here, or Arsenal are going to go on and get a couple. It's not going to be 1-0. You heard it here first. It's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1 here on Football Live with 23 minutes ago.
Thank you. Well, let's hope it doesn't stay 1-0. We love the goals. We had plenty of goals so far. We had 2 in the Premier League, 1 in Italy and 1 in Germany. But let's go to Stamford Bridge. 24 minutes gone, still Chelsea 0, Leeds 0. Ash Sandiford, any chance of a goal from either side? And in particular, what are Chelsea doing at the moment, trying to improve their recent form?
I'll tell you what, Graham Potter, to be honest with you, he will be absolutely pulling his hair out. They should be 3-0 up, to be honest with you. Another chance, and Raheem Sterling, once again, Every single time he gets the ball, he's looking dangerous at the Leeds defence. He's beaten a couple of players and he's slipped it down into Kai Havertz. And Kai Havertz is near enough one-on-one with the goalkeeper. And he's just tried to dink it over the goalkeeper and he's got it slightly wrong. And Melia just flicked it and kept it and flicked it over the bar. So it was pretty straightforward. And then another chance again shortly after that. Again, Raheem Sterling cuts back on his right-hand side, cuts it back to João Felix and he smashed the crossbar. It's absolute chaos here at Stamford Bridge. It's going really well for Chelsea, but again, Graham Potter, there's a reason why they're not scoring goals at the moment. No goals in their last 3 games in the Premier League, so they'll be really looking forward to trying to get at least 1 goal in this game today. But still, as it stands, 24 minutes in, it's Chelsea 0, Leeds 0.
I mean, Chelsea, they haven't got really a brilliant goal scorer player, haven't they? They haven't got someone like Jesus up front or Kane or someone who actually can, a goal poacher, up front. Is that fair to say about Chelsea?
Agreed, to be honest with you. You've got Kai Havertz with 5 goals, you've got Raheem Sterling with 4. There's no one really actually threatening that for that top goal scorer. No one's really getting in and amongst the goals regularly, and like I said earlier, no Premier League goals in their last 3. Only 23 Premier League goals so far this season, which is terrible considering last season they got so much more last season, and I think they've ended up with 74 points. So, to be honest with you, Chelsea really do need a number 9, and they're playing the false 9 at the moment, but they should be 3-0 up. So, I do believe that they can do this today. If they get 1 goal, I think the floodgates will open, but still 0-0 here.
Like I said, we'd love to hear this. And we love it so much. It's another goal for Monza. Now it's Monza 2, Empoli 1 with 66 minutes gone. We'll be going to Andrew Bonacore very, very shortly on the news of that goal. But first, let's go to the Emirates on an injury news for Arsenal. Richard.
Yes, well, it's an injury to Leandro Trossard. He's gone down clutching his leg and he's can't continue. He's gone off and he's replaced by a forgotten man of Arsenal, Emile Smith-Rowe, who's come on, and I think he's looking as if he's gone into that false line position, probably interchanging with Martinelli, I would have thought. But that's a big blow for Arsenal, who are already without Antecchia. He's not in the squad today, and Jesus still out. So perhaps maybe that would mean in the next couple of weeks we will see Jesus rush back into action, depending on the severity of this injury. So big blow for Arsenal, but they are still in the ascendancy. Ødegaard and Saka completely in control of the play in here. So despite Bournemouth having that clear-cut chance not so long ago, it's Arsenal looking the most threatening to coming back. It's 27 minutes on the clock here. Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1.
I started to lose count how many times I played that. Now it's Aston Villa 1, Palace 0 after 27 minutes. Goal scored by Joachim Andrews and on goal by Palace. We'll be going to Isaac Dills very, very shortly on the news of that goal. But first, let's go to Jake Bowers on a halftime report on Mainz against Hoffenheim.
Yes, we are 1-0 up from Mainz here at half-time, and Hoffenheim really need to switch on their game if they're looking for a result here. As I previously mentioned, I actually want to apologise to all Mainz fans. I did the goal a bit of a disservice. After watching it again, it was a nice reaction by Barrera to finish off the left post, but Hoffenheim just so flat-footed from when the corner delivered in. They weren't even looking. Their attacking output has been second to none all game. They had a few shots, but considering the person that's had his joint most shots of the game is Ozan Kabak, who is obviously the centre-back formerly of Liverpool and Norwich, that's not a problem. Considering Hoffenheim have these attacking options in Kasper Dolberg, in Andre Kramaric, who's almost a Bundesliga legend at this point, almost nearing on 100 goals, it's just shocking to see, really, how they haven't put up anything in this game and also the rest of the season. However, that's not to take anything away from Mainz. They've been the better team this game, to be honest. They've had a lot more shots. Barrero is really on fire. He's looking for that second goal. He's always in and around the box, causing problems for Oliver Bowman and the Hoffenheim defence. We'll see how it pans out in the second half, but Hoffenheim really need to switch on, and also Mainz needs to just carry on what they're doing, because Hoffenheim are really offering nothing at the moment. As it stands going into the second half, we are Mainz 1, Hoffenheim 0.
Let's go to Villa Park on the news of that goal against Crystal Palace with Isaac Dilks.
Yes, John, this game's come alive through an own goal by Joachim Andersen as he pokes the ball into his own net after a brilliant ball was fizzed across by Matty Cash on the right-hand side. I was just about to come and say, there's been no real chances of quality. Both teams have looked very, very blunt so far in this opening half an hour. And the own goal just sort of tells you the lack of cutting edge that both sides forwards have had. But Villa will be absolutely delighted. They've made good spells of possession and pressure play there, and they finally got their reward for it. So just under half an hour gone. It's now Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0.
Thank you very much, Isaac. Just a reminder, of course, we mentioned that Mainz are leading Hoffenheim by a goal to 0. The rest of the Bundesliga's half-time scores so far: Augsburg 1, Werder Bremen 1, Borussia Mönchengladbach 0, Freiburg 0, Union Berlin 0, Cologne 0, and Bochum 0, Schalke 1. Both teams are playing more or less. They're down in the relegation zone at this stage. Next, let's go to Andrew Bonacore on the news of that Monza's second goal at Serie A. Andrew.
Yes, as you say, it's 2-1 now to Monza. We've had a classic goal. A Monza corner from the right was curled into the penalty box, and centre-half Armando Izzo rose miles above everyone else to head the ball down and just inside the left-hand post to put Monza back on top. Empoli have been absolutely brilliant this half, but they find themselves behind again. It's a great game now, and it's Monza 2, Empoli 1.
As we mentioned earlier, it's Brighton 1, West Ham 0, but it seems like West Ham are sort of giving it a go, haven't they, Ed?
Yeah, they are, John, and it was Thomas Souček actually making his way from midfield, sort of shadows of what he was like in previous seasons where he managed to get a few goals. And he runs up the right channel and fires it across the goal towards the left post of Alex Steele's net. Alex Steele gets down and actually makes a really good save to keep his side with a clean sheet so far. But West Ham, they're testing here. I've just seen Declan Rice chatting with David Moyes on the touchline after a bit of an injury. One of the Brighton players. I think he's looking to change it up a bit because it hasn't worked the first 30 minutes or so. I think Brighton have really had the better of it. But we're seeing West Ham growing into this game. Let's see if they can get an equaliser here. It's 30 minutes on the clock, 1-0 to Brighton.
I mean, Ed, West Ham, obviously, with their big win against Forest last weekend, they're probably thinking this will change of form, isn't it? I mean, 4-0, I think it was in the last 25 minutes last weekend. I think sort of when you have that sort of result, you expect anything from them now, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think with the game last week, I remember I was on the show when the game was being played. With West Ham, I think a lot of fans would agree with me. When it rains, it pours with them and scoring goals. And you have to say, Nottingham Forest, I believe, are the worst away side in the league. So that kind of tells you everything you need to know. West Ham's main problem has always been scoring goals. And they got a few last weekend, so let's see if they can take that into this game here against Brighton. But Brighton are definitely a more stern test than Forest, that's for sure.
Next, let's go to the Molineux. Last time we heard from Jackson Cole that it wasn't really much happening at the Molineux between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Tottenham Hotspur, but we've got some injury news concerning the home side.
Yes, it's Diego Costa. He's been stretchered off. He was writhing in pain. It was following a challenge. Him and Oliver Skip going for a header. It was fair play from both players, but unfortunately for Diego Costa, he landed very awkwardly on his knee and he is writhing in pain, as I said. And after a lengthy stoppage, the decision was made to just stretcher him off. Diego Costa, he's 34 years old, and you could just see him shaking his head as he came off the pitch. So that really is rotten luck for Wolves. You have to remember at the start of the season, they signed Sasa Kaladzic for big money from VfB Stuttgart in Germany. But then on his debut for the club, he ruptured his cruciate ligament. So when you're a team trying to fight relegation, this is not the type of thing that you need to happen to you. So yeah, it's Raul Jimenez who's come on for Diego Costa. A little bit before that, the first meaningful chance of the game did fall to Tottenham. It was Dejan Kulusevski, a lovely curling effort from him, but a very fine fingertip save from Jose Sarr to deny the Sweden international. So just beyond the half-an-hour mark, and it's still Wolves 0, Tottenham 0.
I mean, after Newcastle losing early on today, Jackson, to Manchester City, you would think Tottenham would be trying to capitalise and keep that distance between them to even further.
Yeah, absolutely. They've just not got their game going. They had that Dejan Kulusevski chance, but they've not really threatened Jose Sarr apart from that. You also have to mind Liverpool, who have entered some quite good form. They're playing Manchester United, who are probably, well, apart from Arsenal, the form team in the Premier League. So this is a really huge opportunity for Tottenham to tighten their grip on fourth place, but they're just playing within themselves. They're quite unsure of themselves so far in this game that's goalless.
Thank you very much. That's Jackson College. Just give you a quick update for the latest score so far in the English Premier League. About 10 minutes to go till half-time. It's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1. Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Tottenham 0, as we heard from Jackson Cole. Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0, Brighton 1, West Ham 0. And Chelsea Leeds still 0-0. But let's go to Ash Sandiford on any developments from Chelsea, any improvements, or Leeds more or less making life hard for the home side?
Certainly right. Yeah, Leeds are making it super hard for Chelsea, and they managed to get themselves a chance where Mr. McKennie and Tyler Adams just kind of combining together in the middle, and Rutter kind of held the ball up really nicely for Brendan Aronson, and he just smashed it as hard as he could, and the goalkeeper managed to just save it in the end. It was pretty straightforward save, but it was a nice little bit of link-up play from these. So they're slowly starting to grow into the game, because they haven't really won many games away from home this season. The only win came against Liverpool, funny enough, at Anfield back in October. So they'll be looking to get themselves a second Premier League away win. But currently, as it stands here at the Bridge, it's Chelsea 0, Leeds 0.
We got a penalty appeal at the Emirates. Let's go to Richard Bond to hear all about it.
Oh, well, it's massive appeal from Arsenal, and it was a lovely ball in from Saka, and Vieira's gone into challenge for the ball with Chris Mepham, and well, for me, it looked like it could be a penalty. It's gone to VAR. They're having a look at it at the moment now, so we'll get back to you on that one, but it's one of these where I've seen them given before, and, we'll just see, it's not been given, I'm afraid. No penalty, so, but as we stand then, 35 minutes gone, it's still Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1.
Richard, Arsenal, they are trying, aren't they, in the first half. Like you said, their possession is much, much better than Bournemouth. I do appreciate that goals that count, but you would think it's just a matter of time when Arsenal can score a goal, wouldn't they?
I've got a great stat for you, John. It's no side in Premier League history has ever had as much possession as Arsenal have got at the moment. They've got 87% possession from this match. It beats a record of 82 that was held by Man City against Arsenal a few years back. This is a game for records. We already had the second fastest goal in Premier League history with Bill in at the beginning. If they can hold on to that sort of possession in the game, it's only a matter of time until something comes for Arsenal. Surely Bournemouth can't hang on for that amount of time playing as they are. But you never know. This is football. Anything can happen. But at the moment, though, it is Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1, 37 minutes gone.
Yes, Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1. It's not what Arsenal fans were expecting one day, especially conceding a goal in the first 30 seconds of that game. But it's all Arsenal since then. And I think Arsenal fans will be just waiting for Arsenal to start scoring. And, if Bournemouth can nick 3 points today, it would be absolutely brilliant. Especially that win, if it stays as it is, will take them outside the relegation zone. Next, let's go to Villa Park. About 7-8 minutes to go at Villa Park. It's Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0. Isaac, is Villa trying to find a second, or Crystal Palace trying to get back into the game since the Villa goal?
Palace are trying. They're trying to get back into the game, very much so. But their attacking play has just not been good enough, frankly. I mean, their whole plan is to be very, very direct. Get the ball to Zaha, Elise and Eze as quickly as possible, and then just wait for them to produce some magic. Villa are very happy with their 1-0 lead, as they should be. They're in no rush to open this game up and to create big spaces for those direct forwards that I just mentioned to get any joy. So Unai Emery is very happy to manage this game for 1-0, go in at half-time with the lead, and then maybe look to push on for a second and kill this game off in the second half. But as you say, 37 minutes on the clock here. Still Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0.
Of course, there's a few games happening across Europe in the Spanish La Liga. 24 minutes gone, still Almeria 0, Villarreal 0. There's also a game happening in the Nigerian Premier League. It's Abia Warriors 0, Rivers United 0. And in the Bundesliga, it all kicked off in the second half. In fact, in about 5 minutes into the second half of all the games. In Germany, it's Augsburg 2, Werder Bremen 1 now. Borussia Mönchengladbach 0, Freiburg 0, Union Berlin 0, and Cologne 0. Mainz, which is our future game, still Mainz 1, Hoffenheim 0, and still Bochum 0, Schalke 1. Let's go back to Ash Sandiford at Stamford Bridge. We've got a booking for the home side, which is probably not what Graham Potter was looking for. He was looking for goals, not for yellow cards.
Well, at the moment they've got more bookings than goals. Of course, it's a booking for Chelsea. Wesley Fofana's got himself booked. Very, very silly challenge, just on the edge of Chelsea's 18-yard box. He's just brought down and kind of panicked, to be honest with you, and brought down Rutter. So it's a really bad decision to do that. And for the resulting free kick, it's actually Jack Harrison is absolutely just smashed it over the bar. It's just slightly gone over the bar with a great free kick, just about 21 yards out. So it was a good chance for them to get their goal. And Leeds are starting to get really confident throughout the whole of the game, to be honest with you. And they don't want to lose today, because if they lose today, here's a stat for you. If they lose today, it will be their 200th Premier League defeat since they've ever entered into the Premier League. So that's a huge, huge omen that they wouldn't want to fulfill today. But still, as it stands at the Bridge, 39 minutes in, it's Chelsea 0, Leeds 0.
Let's give you the latest updates and latest scores from the Scottish Premier League. It's Hearts 1, St Johnstone 0, Livingston 1, Hibernian 2, Rangers 2, Kilmarnock 0, and Ross County 0, Motherwell 0. Early on in La Liga, it finished Getafe 3, Girona 2. That's a great win for Getafe, of course. Girona got their own problems as well in La Liga. Latest score in Serie A, it's Monza 2, Empoli 0 with about 8 minutes to go. Let's go to Andrew Bonacore on the latest on that game with 8 minutes to go. Andrew.
Yeah, it's a really good game here. Since the second Monza goal, Empoli have tried everything they can to get back on level terms. Substitutions made for both sides, and all attacking ones. Monza certainly not looking to defend their 2-1 lead. They're trying to get more goals, and Empoli just trying to get back on level terms. So, as you say, about 8 minutes left to go. Monza on top at the moment, but it wouldn't surprise me if Empoli, who are the Serie A draw specialists this season, be no surprise if they could get back in the game. But so far, with 8 minutes to go, it's still Monza 2, Empoli 1.
With about 3 or 4 minutes to go at half-time here in the Premier League games. Let's go back to Richard Bond in the Emirates. Let's see if there's any more developments from Arsenal against Bournemouth.
Well, nothing as much to note from last time you came, but Arsenal still very much in the ascendancy. And, you know, between on that right-hand side, they're looking particularly threatening. But Bournemouth are defending resolutely. You know, Mepham, who was involved in that penalty incident, you know, he's defended very well throughout the game. Looked as if he's clearing most of the balls put in the box with his head. Arsenal really looking for that cutting edge now, really trying to find somebody in the box for perfect pass. They may have to try and adopt their strategy in the second half and see if they can create some more chances in different methods. Problem Arsenal got is they got such a young front line now. You know, you're looking at the guys up there now. You've got Martinelli, Saka. They're all guys 23, 24, 21. You're just looking for that experienced head, really, just to kind of roll the sleeves up and get them back into this game. Still plenty of time in this one, and like I said, they're really on top. But we're coming into half-time now, 2 minutes to go. It's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1.
I mean, Richard, you touched on experience, and the last time Arsenal won the league was in 2003-2004 season. Their players at the time, they had the experience, haven't they, to win the title. This team is probably a bit short of that, isn't it? I mean, probably we would expect Arsenal to be doing as well as they are now, maybe next season. But if they finish third, it's not going to be... Sorry, if they finish second in this season, wouldn't that be the end of the world for them, wouldn't it?
It would be the end of the world, but it would be very disappointing considering the amount of time they've been at the top. Like you touched on, the sides that from Arsene Wenger did have good core of experience. You starting from the back, very, a lot of caps in there, international players like the Adams, Keowns of the world, and then you'd look for more of a youthful front line into midfield and dropping back with age. So, with a good keeper there as well. But this Arsenal team has got resolve. They have got plenty of fighting and a lot of international experience. Someone like Saka's been around for quite a long time now, despite his age. I think I read something, he's 50 goals now, with one of the youngest players to have done that in the Premier League. So it's going to be a case of rolling up the sleeves and seeing what happens. And I'm just looking to the bench now to see who's going to really make a difference. Someone like Xhaka, really, with his international experience, maybe to come on into midfield. He didn't start today. Perhaps that was a bit of a surprise. Perhaps he can help them out in this second half, get back into the game. So at the moment, though, just coming at half-time, Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1.
Yes, we're just coming at half-time. As Richard said, it's still Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 0, Leeds 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Tottenham 0, Villa 1, Palace 0, and it's Brighton 1, West Ham 0. Let's go to Ed Dowling on the latest stages of the first half. Ed.
Yeah, John, it's been all Brighton so far, all Brighton. I think they've had 75% possession, and they've just been popping it about. In terms of the game itself, no real big chances to speak of, but I must mention watching players like Moises Caicedo especially, driving through midfield, so strong, such a good decision maker at such a young age. He really is going to be a really big player in the future, I think, for whoever is lucky enough to get him. And Kaoru Mitoma as well, so good on the ball. But look, in terms of the game itself, West Ham haven't really offered anything since a little flurry of chances after the penalty. It's been all Brighton so far, and you're really seeing, I think, why Brighton are where they are and why West Ham are in the position that they're in as well. But about 44 minutes played, I don't think there's going to be much added on time. It's 1-0 here to Brighton.
We'll be going back very shortly to Ed for half-time report. Next, let's go to Villa Park. Last time we heard, Villa were leading Palace by a goal to 0, and they nearly doubled their lead, haven't they, Isaac?
Well, Ollie Watkins, he has his head in his hands at the moment. He's just missed a gilt-edged chance to double this lead for Villa and give them a 2-0 lead going into the half-time break. But he's fluffed his lines. It's really good play from Villa. They've had so much of the ball. They've put in together some really good, intricate moves, particularly down the right-hand side. Matty Cash and Emi Buendia link up. Buendia feeds the ball through to Ollie Watkins, who's got time and space right on the penalty spot, and he just fluffs his lines, skews it left of the post. It would have left Vicente Guaita with no chance of saving it. So massive chance for Villa. Unfortunately, couldn't double their lead. Still, Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0, as we're moments away from the half-time whistle.
I mean, Isaac, with Ollie Watkins' form at the moment, you would bet your dollars money that he will be probably scoring from the chance that you just mentioned.
Yeah, well, he definitely should have. He's been really good since Emery came in. He does exactly the kind of job that he likes strikers to do. He's very physical. He runs the channels really well, and crucially, he'll put a lot of effort in. He will work hard for you. But I don't think he's ever been known as a really clinical finisher, and unfortunately, he is made up to that stereotype there, unfortunately for Villa as well. So it's still 1-0 to Aston Villa, as we're, like I say, just seconds away from this half-time whistle against Crystal Palace.
There's another VAR situation at the Emirates between Arsenal and Bournemouth. Arsenal are losing by a goal to. Let's go to Richard Bond quickly on exactly what's happening at the Emirates Stadium.
Well, it's Arsenal again who coming close on his VAR, looking at another potential penalty for Arsenal, but they haven't given it again. It was Sensini's challenge that was on Vieira in the box. It took a while to really look over, but the ball was played in from that left-hand side. It was a bit clumsy, but there's no penalty being given there. They're happy that there's nothing to do with that. But I don't know, clutching at straws maybe if you're getting that one. But coming into half-time now, yeah, no penalty there. So it's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1.
We got our first half-time report from Stamford Bridge. It's Chelsea 0, Leeds 0, Ash Sandiford.
Yeah, half-time here. It's Chelsea 0, Leeds 0. And Leeds will be feeling exceptionally pleased towards the end of that half. That last 10 minutes, 35 minutes on, they really started to get their foot on the ball and started to dictate possession in the game. And a couple of half chances for Jorginho Rutter and Brendan Aronson trying to get the ball in, but no real clear-cut opportunity. Chelsea will feel a bit disappointed that, again, they haven't scored. Really, that time's ticking now for Chelsea and Graham Potter. In the stands, the crowd's starting to get a little bit agitated with the play and the build-up play because that back end of the half was a little bit poor from Chelsea. But like I said here, it's still 0-0. It's Chelsea 0, Leeds 0, half-time here at the Bridge.
Thank you very much, Ash. Next, let's go to the Emirates. It's half-time. Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 0 with half-time report from Richard Bond.
Yes, well, it's half-time here at the Emirates. It's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1. That really early goal from Phil Billing after just 9 seconds on the clock made absolutely shell-shocked everybody in the Emirates Stadium, went silent. Bournemouth since then have had to defend for their lives with 89% possession for Arsenal. Remarkable stat in that first half as they tried to come back into this game and have had some real good chances from both Saka and Ødegaard. Aaron Ramsdale, against the run of play, had to make an absolute blinding save to deny what has been Bournemouth's best player, Ouattara, from getting the Cherries a second goal. But we've had a couple of appeals for penalties for Arsenal in this first half, but nothing was given. VAR didn't see anything wrong with them. But we're coming into half-time here now. We are at half-time, sorry. And it's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1, now with an interesting second half to come.
Thank you very much, Rich. We'll come back after we go to Nigeria to discuss more about Arsenal and what they can do in the second half. Let's go quickly to Villa Park with half-time report from Isaac Dilks.
Yes, John, half-time here at Villa Park, and Aston Villa are still 1-0 up against Crystal Palace. They've been the better side. They've had a majority of the ball, and they went ahead thanks to an own goal, courtesy of Palace's Joachim Anderson poking it past his own goalie, Vicente Guaita. Ollie Watkins could have doubled their lead, missed an absolute sitter just on the stroke of half-time, and Unai Emery's men could be ruining that mistake, as Crystal Palace still look dangerous with the likes of Elise, Eze and Wilfried Zaha in their forward line. So everything to play for here at Villa Park as we go into the second half in 15 minutes or so. Yeah, massive result for both sides here, and Villa will be very happy going into the break.
Let's just recap on the half-time scores in the English Premier League. It's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 0, Leeds 0, Aston Villa 1, Palace 0, Brighton 1, West Ham 0, and they are still playing in the 6th minute of injury time at Molineux between Wolves and Tottenham, and it's still 0-0. Well, now we hand it over to FJ in Nigeria to give you all the news of the Nigerian players around the globe and go through your comments and interactions on the social media. And we're back with you very shortly. Good afternoon, FJ. Before I'll hand you over, I've got a trivia for you, as we all do every week. As we have 5 London teams involved in all our Premier League games, it's something to do with London clubs in a way. What was the first London club to become champions of England since it started in 1882? Who is the first London team to become champions of England since it started in 1882? And now hand you over to FJ. Good afternoon.
You are listening to Football Live on Brilla FM with John Kane.
Yes, welcome back to Football Live, and thank you, FJ. And your answer is correct. It is Arsenal who won it back in 1930-1931 season. As for your question about the only player to win 2 league and cup doubles in the same season, I'm going to say initially I don't know, but I'll be thinking about it and I'll give you an answer before the end of the show. Now, next, let's go to Ed Dowling for half-time report on Brighton against West Ham from the MX Stadium.
Yes, fairly routine so far for the home side, Brighton. The only goal of the match so far came after Kara Matoma picked up the ball on the left side. He cuts inside, and Jared Bowen just puts a bit too much pressure on him for the referee's liking. And so a penalty was awarded and dispatched comfortably by Alexis McAllister. Since then, there was a flurry of West Ham chances immediately after the goal, but really it's been all Brighton, just playing around at the back with no real intent to score, but West Ham really offering very, very little so far. Let's hope for a better half from West Ham, especially in the second half, but at half-time here at the Amex, it's 1-0 to Brighton.
Thank you, Ed. Next, let's go to Jackson Cole. The last time we heard it was 0-0 between Wolves and Tottenham, and with the halftime report with extended injury time as well, Jackson.
Yeah, and it is still 0-0 between Wolves and Tottenham, a contest which really kicked into life in the closing stages of the first period, with Heung-min Son and Pedro Porro coming desperately close to giving the away side the lead. Son, who only has 9 goals to his name this term, must have left his shooting boots at home as he blazed the ball over the crossbar when being put clean through. Massive chance, that. And then in the final moments of the 8 added minutes, Pedro Porro, signed in January, his free kick crashed against the crossbar with Jose Sarr beaten. All ends up. The reason for all the stoppages was due to a nasty injury to Wolves striker Diego Costa, who was stretchered off the pitch with what looks like a severe knee injury after the former Spain striker landed awkwardly on the pitch when going for a header. There was another lengthy stoppage with Wolves defender Max Kilman needing treatment for a bloodied nose following a collision with Dejan Kulusevski. Kilman was able to carry on, however. Elsewhere, Sarr did brilliantly to keep out a curling Kulusevski effort, while also palming away an Ivan Perisic header from close range. Tottenham, they are knocking on the Wolves' door as they seek a 3rd straight league win for the first time this season. But Julian Lopetegui's men are clinging on for now. It's Wolves 0, Tottenham 0.
I mean, Heung-min Son has been having the best seasons, haven't you, so far, Jackson? And he's been scoring more goals when he's coming as a sub. Do you think there's a chance that he might change that on today's game, and especially with that huge chance that he had just before half-time?
Well, to be honest, I'm not too confident after seeing his finishing in the first half. I cannot stress what a good chance it was. It was just a quick ball played over the top for him. He was clean through, no player within 10 metres of him, and he was sort of on the left channel. And Son last season, he would have taken that shot straight away, but he tried to work himself a more favourable angle onto his right foot, and then he tried to dummy it. By that stage, some Wolves defenders managed to get back, but even then, he should have had more composure. He just got totally under the ball, and it went way over the bar. That was a huge chance for the South Korea international. So, I mean, he's a strong character, Son, but I'm not too sure about him getting a decisive goal this afternoon.
Thank you very much. That's Jackson Cole from the Molyneux with half-time report on Wolves against Tottenham. Now, as we know, we were covering a Serie A game between Monza and Empoli, and it finished Monza 2, Empoli 1, with your full-time report, Andrew Bonacore.
A very entertaining game at the U-Power Stadium finished 2-1 to Monza, and Silvio Berlusconi, the 80-year-old with the 30-year-old smile, is beaming with joy at this win for his side, who climbed 2 places to 9th in Serie A. Monza went in at half-time a goal up through Chura's fine finish, but in the second half, Empoli looked a different side, drawing level on 52, when Marin's cross wasn't dealt with, and it was Martin Satriano with the header at the far post to score. Izzo's header from a corner put Monza back on top, and despite Empoli's best efforts, they couldn't breach the home defence for a second time. Monza holding out for the win, and it finished Monza 2, Empoli 1.
Thank you very much, Andrew Bonacore, for the full-time report. Let's keep you up to date with the latest Bundesliga games. About 50 minutes to go in all the games. There's 5 of them in total. Is Augsburg 2, Werder Bremen 1, Borussia Mönchengladbach against Freiburg, Union Berlin against Cologne is still 0-0, Bochum 0, Schalke 1, and Mainz 1, Hoffenheim with a game which keep an eye on with Jake Bowers. Let's get for the latest update. Jake.
Hello, yes, same as the first half pretty much. Hoffenheim are not doing well in this game, to be honest, which kind of sums up their season recently. There was a double sub for the strikers actually for Hoffenheim in hope that they might, bring something out of it, some new fresh legs on the pitch. So Kramaric and Kasper Dolberg came off and Dabur and Bebu came on, of course Bebu from Togo. There was actually we thought the striking and the attacking advantages would go then to Hoffenheim with some fresh legs, but pretty much straight after that, Ingvartsen for Mainz was through on goal, but unfortunately, and did score. However, that was ruled out by offside, and it was a clear offside. So there's not too many complaints about that one. But Hoffenheim have been on the back foot the whole game, very flat. Danny Da Costa for Mainz has been giving Angelino's life a bit of misery as he is bombing up and down, not being able to. Of course, Angelino, former of RB Leipzig and of Man City, he's not having a good game. And Hoffenheim really need to find something in these last 15 minutes, but it is looking unlikely. However, anything can happen, and it is still 1-0 to Mainz as we go into the final 15 minutes.
Thank you very much, Jake. I kicked off in most of the games in the Premier League, including Chelsea against Leeds. And at Sandefjord, there's a huge chance for Chelsea to take the lead.
Yeah, 47 minutes in, but just a minute ago, emphatic chance for Chelsea, absolute huge chance. And Raheem Sterling again pulling the strings in the midfield. He breaks away and pops it in to the midfield to Loftus-Cheek. Loftus-Cheek gets down to the byline, cuts it back, and then what happens? Raheem Sterling flicks it on the right-hand side, and it's just clipped the top of the post. Again, another chance for Chelsea, and they've really started super fast in this second half. But as it stands, it's currently still Chelsea 0, Leeds 0.
Has there been any changes personnel between from Chelsea or Leeds, in fact?
No, both teams have kept it the same as it stands so far. All I know is that so far is Chelsea really, they've got to push for this now. It's all or nothing now for Graham Potter. He has to do something with this Chelsea side. They need to get some goals and get themselves into the lead and get them back up the table, because it's all or nothing for them. So as it stands, it's still 0-0, but Chelsea on the attack again.
Thank you very much, Ash. Next, let's go to the Emirates. We're into the second half of the game, which Bournemouth are leading by a goal to 0, Richard Bond. And I can only assume that the first couple of minutes it's been Arsenal all over as well.
Yes, Arsenal started as they finished, and they dominated play in possession without creating any major chance of note yet. We've had one change at the break. Mikel Arteta's brought off Takehiro Tomiyasu, and he's brought on Ben White, who's linked up really well with Bukayo Saka through the season so far on that right-hand side. So I think Arsenal now, they probably had the talking to from Arteta at half-time, back with a new game plan for the second half. Just looking at the stats, they've fallen behind once at half-time all season. That was against West Ham back in December. They came on and won that game 3-1. So Arsenal fans, still hope there for you. 45 minutes to go here. It's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1.
Thank you very much, Rich. Of course, I mean, I did mention before at the beginning of the show that many West Ham fans probably were thinking that beating Forest 4-0 at home is brilliant, but it's not like playing teams like Brighton, who are having the time of their life at Dowling. And 4 minutes gone into the second half, and any change of personnel from West Ham try and make that comeback available for them for the remainder of the match.
Yeah, David Moyes has hooked Said Benrahma, who, to be honest, I can't really recall him doing anything in that first half, which has really summed up West Ham's performance in this game so far. He's brought on the Spanish international Pablo Fornals. Let's see if he can add something different. I think he's more of a technical player. I mean, Benrahma's very technical as well, but he's a bit slower. I think he's more involved in build-up perhaps than Benrahma. Benrahma, I think, is more direct and focused on scoring goals. So let's see what that adds to West Ham. Maybe they can keep the ball a bit better. They've really not kept it at all well in that first half. So we'll see how that changes the game. He's on the board now. He's looking pretty bright for West Ham. But they have to do better than they did in that first half, because Brighton will walk away with an easy 3 points otherwise, John.
Thank you very much, Ed. Next, let's go to Villa Park. Last time we heard from Isaac Dios, Villa were leading by a goal to nil. That was the half-time score. We were about 5 minutes gone into the second half. Isaac, any changes personnel, and how was the first 5 minutes shaping up?
No changes to personnel, John. Both sides sticking with that starting 11 for now, as we're about 5 minutes into the second half, as you say. Palace have started the brighter of the two teams, in all honesty. They look to be pressing really hard. They're being very physical in midfield and not making it easy for those Villa players to get on the ball and play as they would want to. So they're really battling. I'd expect them to really make a push in these first 10, 15 minutes of this second half to try and get themselves back in this game and then maybe push on for a winner. Who knows? But Villa will manage the game very well. Unai Emery's a very good tactician. And we all know how good he is at managing those games out, especially at 1-0. But yeah, as you say, 50 minutes gone here now. Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0.
And we have the first goal of the afternoon at Stamford Bridge. It's Chelsea 1, Leeds United 0. We spoke about Wesley Fofana getting a yellow card in the first half. Well, he made up for it because he has scored Chelsea's lead after 53 minutes. So we'll be going to Ash Sandiford very shortly for the news of that goal. And Brighton have extended their lead over West Ham United. Now it's Brighton 2, West Ham 0, and Joel Veltman has scored a second for Brighton. So 2 early goals in the first half in our featured games, and we'll be going to Ash Sandiford and Ed Downing very, very shortly on the news of them goals. Next, let's go to Jackson Cole. In fact, let's go to Chelsea first. Let's go to Stamford Bridge first on the news of that goal with Ash Sandiford.
And a huge goal here at Stamford Bridge, and Graham Potter and his men will be absolutely buzzing with this one. It's great build-up play again from Chelsea down the left-hand side. Raheem Sterling involved once again. They managed to get themselves a corner, and Chilwell, I think they picked up their 7th corner in this game so far. Chilwell crosses it out swinging, and it's Wesley Fofana with a powerful header right into the top corner of the net. It's a great goal from Chelsea, and they're on the attack again, and it's Chelsea now. They'll feel that they can get 1 or 2 more goals in this game and really put Leeds to bed. But as it stands, it's 53 minutes in. It's Chelsea 1, Leeds 0.
I mean, Graham Potter's not having the best start, isn't he, for Chelsea, Ash? He's the 3rd worst start as manager of Chelsea, just above Ian Porterfield and Glenn Hoddle. And I think he will grab any points today, wouldn't he? And 3 points would be fantastic, especially with the poor form that they've been having since he took over. Only 1 game this year in 2023 for Chelsea. It's not really good enough, isn't it?
It's not. Graham Potter took charge on September the 8th, 2022, and it's not been very good. But although he did his first 9 games, they actually won 6 out of 3, but 4 of those games were actually in the Champions League. He won 3 and drew 1. So he started really well. He's unbeaten in 9. But since then, it's gone downhill. And like you said earlier, he didn't have that chance to get himself and he's got plenty of players to dispose of, but he just hasn't got that kind of team spirit yet with the rest of the team. Like you said, only Ian Potterfield and Glenn Hoddle have had worse starts to their first 11 Premier League games. So he'll be looking to get rid of that record and really try and propel his side up the table. It's still 1-0 here at the Bridge, though.
I'm sure Graham Potter will be delighted if they can get the 3 points today at Stamford Bridge. 1 needed point. So more closer to relegation, Chelsea, than the top 4, which is very, very worrying considering the amount of money they spent in the last few months. Well, let's go to the Amex Stadium on the news of that second goal for Brighton from Ed Dowling.
Yeah, John, second goal for Brighton here at the Amex SB Game Over. Very well could do. It's a corner from Brighton. It goes to the near post. Alexis McAllister heads it onto the back post. And Veltman is there, completely unmarked. No West Ham players around him at all. And he just chests the ball into an open net. Really well worked from Brighton. You can see they've worked on something like that or something similar to that in training. But David Moyes has a face like thunder right now on the touchline. It's so poor from them. No one on the back post for a corner in the Premier League. Pretty unheard of. But that's second goal for Brighton today. Veltman, bear in mind, he only came on for 20 minutes after an injured Tariq Lamptey. but this is not turning into a good day at all for West Ham. It's 2-0 to the home side, Brighton, 52 minutes played.
Yes, it's Brighton 2 now, West Ham 0. 10 minutes gone to the second half for literally most of our games in the English Premier League. And let's go to the Emirates. It's going to be a big shock, isn't it, for both sides, really, Richard? I mean, if Bournemouth win away from home, that's a fantastic 3 points. But a game on paper that everyone thought was going to be the easy 3 points for Arsenal today.
Well, maybe it's easy on paper, but Arsenal are still having a real good go at it today, and it's 2 more chances for Arsenal I can report on. And we've seen a really good effort from Martin Ødegaard. He took a speculative effort from range, meeting a bouncing ball from about 20 yards out, but he just couldn't quite find the corner. Neto was there just to get himself behind the ball there, just to save that one. And then more recently now, we've just had Gabriel Martinelli unleashing a curling effort that's just gone over the crossbar from just outside the box. Promising signs from Arsenal in this second half. We've started really well. 10 minutes in, we are. At the moment, it's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1.
Next, let's go to Jackson Cole. The second half delayed by a few minutes due to the long injury time at the Molineux. And Jackson, Son really can't find the net, can he? For Tottenham.
No, John, but he is getting closer. This half has started like the first half has ended as Tottenham have hit the crossbar again. And as you mentioned, it's Heung-min Son. He was played through by Harry Kane. A lovely step over and a lovely left-footed effort, but it came back off the bar and out of play for a goal kick in the end. I mean, Tottenham, it's been all Tottenham so far, but just seconds ago, there was a dangerous cross in on the Wolves' left, which couldn't quite find the substitute Raul Jimenez. So this game is a lot more open than it was in the early stages of this first half. I'm sure a goal is around the corner, but right now it is Wolves 0, Tottenham 0.
A big goal at the Emirates. Arsenal fans, you would not believe this. It's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 2. When all the possession that Arsenal have been having most of the game, it's Bournemouth who doubled their lead through Marcos Senesi. Wow, what a game, what a result for Arsenal. We'll be going to Richie Bond very, very shortly on the news of that Bournemouth second goal. Now, we've heard so many calls at half-time saying that Arsenal are going to win. Richard Bond said that Arsenal are dominating that game, and surely that's a big, big dent to their heading to their triumph for their winning the league this season. It's not the score they're looking for. To be honest with you, like we said, no one was expecting that scoreline after 30 seconds. But let's go to Richard Bond and the news of that second goal. What happened, Richard?
Oh, it's unbelievable stuff here. Would you believe it? It's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 2, and it's Sensini who scored the goal. A corner whipped in from our left-hand side. Bournemouth completely against the run of play, and he's just there, unmarked, to plant his head low into the middle of the goal. Oh, I can't believe it, but fair play to Bournemouth. They've taken their chances, and they are two goals to the good. It's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 2, 58 minutes on the clock.
What is actually happening with Arsenal at the moment? You did mention that they're more or less in possession-wise, they're much, much better than Bournemouth. But Bournemouth are getting converting their chances, shall we say, in front of goal. What do Arsenal need up front to make sure that happens for themselves?
I think they need to go a bit more direct now. At the moment, they are getting chances. Just before you came to me now, Martinelli had a good chance, really. He was put through by Saka, and he's just drifted a shot wide, so a little bit more composure on that, and that was a rare sight at goal, really, from a clear-cut opportunity. They're trying really just to overpass it at times, you could potentially say, but I don't know, really. As such, they're going to need to try something different if they're to get back in this one now, though. 2 goals down now with half an hour to play. Something needs to change. So it's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 2.
We'll be going back to Richard Bond very shortly for more updates, but it doesn't look good for Arsenal at all. It's Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 2, in case you just missed it, with about half an hour to go till the end of the match. Next, let's go to Ash Sanderford. And last time we heard Chelsea, who took the lead with Wesley Fofana, but this time it's Leeds who's trying to hit back, haven't they?
They certainly are. Leeds are starting to get themselves into the game a little bit more. And a little chance here that we had for Leeds, just down the right-hand side. A big cross in, and then Luke Ayling on the half volley just hits it across the goal. And Jorginho Rutter just scuffs the shot. It was, to be honest with you, he should have scored. There was no way in chance that he should have not missed that. He's actually scuffed it, and it's gone straight into Kepa's hands. Straightforward save for him. But Leeds would be really disappointed that they couldn't capitalise on that. But still, as it stands here at Stamford Bridge, it's Chelsea 1, Leeds 0.
Let's go to Villa Park. Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0. Isaac and news on the yellow card and injury.
Yes, John, this game is really opening up now. There's much more spaces in the midfield, leading to some really strong challenges and some loose ones at that as well. And you think this game only suits Palace now, but they have been given a yellow card to Chait Doucouré. I mean, he has put in so many challenges this game, many of which have been illegal against the laws of the game. And he's finally earned himself a yellow card for his troubles. And that foul led to an injury to one of Villa's key men, Boubacar Kamara. He's playing brilliantly at the bottom of that midfield. He's had to go off, unfortunately. He's been replaced by Callum Chambers. So it could be a big moment in that match as Villa lose their metronome in the middle of the park. And Palace look to keep just pursuing that equaliser as much as they can. They're putting so much pressure on the Villa defence that, I think only time will tell here before Palace can make something of this game. But at the moment, it's still Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0.
Let's go to the Amex Stadium. It's Brighton 2, West Ham 0, but Ed, Brighton came close for the third.
Yeah, no, so close, John. It was Karan Matoma driving down the left wing. He flashes a ball across the goal, and Evan Ferguson right at the back post. He tries to slide it into the goal, but it was blocked on the line from, I believe, Alphonse Areola. So Brighton nearly adding to their tally again today. West Ham all over the place, John. 60 minutes gone, 2-0 to Brighton.
Of course, there's a few games happening, like we said, across Europe. It's the second half just started at the La Liga. It's still Almeria 0, Villarreal 0. In fact, there's been a goal at the Emirates. Now, everyone was talking about how good Thomas Partey has been this season, and he has scored one for Arsenal today. Is Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 2. We'll be going to Richie Bond very, very shortly in the news of that possible comeback by Arsenal. So it's literally a matter of 5 minutes from Bournemouth scoring their second. Thomas Partey managed to close the gap just a bit. Now, let's go to Villa Park. Villa Park, the news of a red card for Crystal Palace. And Isaac, it's not really the best of news, isn't it, for Palace? They're already losing 1-0, and now it's a red card involved.
No, not got a big moment in this game. And you think I was doing an action replay here, as it's Chait Doucouré again, who flies in the middle of the park. And it's to Callum Chambers, who's only been on the pitch a matter of minutes, came on to replace Boubacar Kamara. He is scythed down in the middle of the park by Chait Doucouré, and Craig Pawson can do nothing but give him his second yellow and send him on his way for an early shower. So unfortunately for him, and unfortunately for Patrick Vieira's Palace, they look a bit down and out at this stage, as Villa now have an extra man advantage and still lead by a goal to 0. Just past the hour mark, it's still Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0.
Let's go back to the Emirates, where Thomas Partey has reduced Bournemouth's lead by 2-1, and the goal news of that goal, Richard Bond.
Yes, Arsenal back in it, and this is going to be a cracking second half. Last half an hour we got here. It's Thomas Partey who's got it. The ball was recycled back after a corner by Smith Rowe. Partey, unmarked at the back post, just goes in to slam the ball into the back of the net. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Arsenal totally deserved to pull back into this game. They nearly pulled a goal back just moments before. Stevenson nearly sliced into his own net after White defeat Saka down the right-hand side. But breathtaking stuff. Plenty more action here to come in the last 25 minutes. I think we got a cracker in store. It's Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 2. Game on.
Thank you very much, Richard. Yes, we've got 25 minutes for Arsenal to turn it around. They're losing by 2-1 at home, which is not good enough. But we shall see. Let's go to the Molineux, your only game which hasn't got goals in the Premier League today. Jackson Cole, but it seems like half an hour to go. No goals, but Wolves have come the closest at the moment.
Yeah, it was very close for Wolves to be taking the lead. It was a fantastic save from Fraser, forcing to deny Raul Jimenez across on the right, a downward header, but Forster got a good strong hand onto it. I mean, that was very much against the run of play because there was a flurry of chances for the away side towards the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half, but somehow we are still goalless at Molineux. It's Wolves 0, Tottenham 0.
Let's look elsewhere. What's happening around Europe and in Africa as well. In fact, in the Nigerian Premier League, 61 minutes gone, still ABA Warriors 0, Rivers United 0. In the African Champions League at the moment, it's Al Ahly of Egypt 1, Cotton Sport 0, and it's a goal scored by Sharif in the very first minute. So we'll keep you up to date with that. They are in the same group as Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa and Al Hilal Omdurman of Sudan. But we'll keep you up to date very shortly as well with any scores that occurred in them games. Well, I think let's go to Ash Sanderford. We haven't heard from Ash for a while. Chelsea are leading by a goal to 0. Ash, are they on the way to keep that lead up or even score more just to please not just Graham Potter, but the Chelsea fans around the world?
Well, they'll be looking to score more goals, to be honest with you. They're really, really pressing on the door at the moment for the home side. And they're really... I'll tell you what's happening in the game. They're being a little bit tentative when they're getting in and around the goal. They're trying to pass the ball into the net instead of get a little bit more direct. But if they do score another couple of goals, that potentially could be their 2000th Premier League goal. So how would that would be for a great day at the Stamford Bridge? But as it stands, it's still Chelsea 1, Leeds 0, and there's about 60 minutes on the clock, 62 minutes.
Thank you very much, Ash. Yes, let's do a quick recap on the latest scores in the Premier League. Of course, the big one so far is in the Emirates. 66 minutes gone. It's Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 2, Chelsea 1, Leeds 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0, Aston Villa 1, Palace 0, and of course Palace are playing with 10 men, as we heard from Isaac Dilks early on, and it's Brighton 2, West Ham 0. Let's go quickly to the Emirates. We could not avoid that game with Richard Bond, with Arsenal trailing Bournemouth by 2-1, and any more there's apparently a couple of subs to Bournemouth, but would that help them to keep that lead for another 25 minutes?
I think they just brought some fresh legs on. So they brought Jadon Anthony and Ryan Fredericks on just to really stem the Arsenal pressure as such, because it's been relentless in the second half. Arteta, after the goal, he turned to the fans, raised his hands, trying to raise like the 12th man for Arsenal in this last period. They've certainly responded to him, and it's absolutely, the roof is coming off here at the moment as Arsenal batter the door down trying to get this equaliser. But there has been another twist so far, and it was a really good save we just had moments ago from the Arsenal keeper. And it's Dominic Solanke who's broken free in the box, and you can just switch off for 2 minutes, and that ball could be in the back of the net. He's raced free into the box, and his shot at the bottom right left-hand corner has just been tipped round the post by Ramsdale. So got to keep switched on, but Arsenal are pressing, and they're looking for that equaliser. 20 minutes to go here. It's Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 2.
West Ham United fans, look away now. It's getting worse and worse for David Moyes' men away at the Amex. Now it's Brighton 3, West Ham United 0. And Mitoma, the guy who's on form for Brighton, has scored a third goal at home at the Amex. We'll be going to Ed Downing very, very shortly on the news of that goal. And in fact, it's been a big, big goal at the Emirates Stadium. And it's now Arsenal 2, Bournemouth 2, Ben White in the 70th minute. If strikers can't score, in comes Partey and White to save the day for Arsenal. 20 minutes to go. We'll be going to Richard Bond very, very shortly on the news of that second goal. We'll also be going to Ed Downing on the news of Brighton's third goal. There was a bit of VAR involved at the Emirates, but now it's been given. It's been given and it's 2-2. I think so many Arsenal fans were waiting to see if the real Arsenal of this season can come back, and the comeback is definitely on the cards. But first, let's go to the Amex Stadium with the news of Brighton's third goal with Ed Dowling.
Yes, third goal here for the home side. And it's that man, Kaoru Mitoma, the back post. Some brilliant ball from Brighton. It's personal goals and to be on the right side of the box. He played a brilliant movie. Cuts the left hand defence in half. And he's just now waiting. Mitoma just to tap in at the back post. It's 3-0 to Brighton. It's been a really good performance today. It's just them have not laboured on the home side today. And finally, the reflects how the game has panned out here. So, 70 minutes gone, 3-0 to Brighton. That's the game done and dusted for me, John.
Sure it is. And let's go to Richard Bond. 20 minutes to go, Richard. And Arsenal, the comeback is on the cards.
It certainly is. It certainly is. It's 2-2 here. Ben White has his goal. It's his first goal for Arsenal, and we're back level. Oh, Royce Nelson, who's just come on for Emil Smith-Rowe, has just played in a lovely ball across the face of the goal, and it's White arriving at the back post, firing the shot, lashed it right into the back of the net. Net had done everything he can, took the ball away, but the referee has signalled the goal, has crossed the line after they had a quick check. Wow, we've got 20 minutes to play here. There's only one winner in my mind, but you never know. It's 2-2. Arsenal 2, Bournemouth 2.
I mean, Richard, it's such a test of character, isn't it, for Michael Arteta's men in the games like this, when you're losing 2-0, come back 2-2 with 20 minutes to go, a chance to score the third with the dominance that they had. It's a great test, isn't it? And if they win that game, you're going to have to take your hats off and say the league is more or less yours, isn't it?
I think there's a long way to go yet in this league race with plenty of twists and turns, but to show that kind of resolute comeback is a sign of title winners. You know, we've seen it in the past from teams like Manchester United, Chelsea. They've all done it. They come back, get the points when they need to. Today is a prime example. They've done it once before, like I said to you earlier, against West Ham, and they were 1-0 down half-time, came back to win 3-1. It's not yet done yet. It's still 2-2. And there's still 20 minutes to go, so anything can happen in this game. But at the moment, they're having a good fist of it in the second half. So it's Arsenal 2, Bournemouth 2 with 18 minutes to go.
Thank you very much, Richard. Yes, Arsenal 2, Bournemouth 2. And Arsenal coming back from 2-0 down to equalise in the last couple of minutes. It's not the case at Wolverhampton. It's Wolves 0, Tottenham 0, and Jackson Cole, Pedro Porro, the new signing at Tottenham, is his chance trying to score his debut for the club, isn't he? But it's not really working out well at the moment, isn't it, in the last 3 games for the Spanish international?
No, not quite, but he is really finding his feet. He was desperately unlucky in that first half. That lovely free kick which came back off the bar, and then just a few moments ago it was a deflected strike which looped towards that top corner of Jose Sar's goal, but the Portuguese goalkeeper did absolutely brilliantly to tip the ball over the bar. I do not understand how there's not been a goal, because there have been so many chances in this game. Oh, by the way, Julian Lopetegui, this shows how sort of desperate things are for Wolves. They've already made 5 substitutions in this game. They made 2 at half-time and then another 2 just now. But yeah, we're approaching the 70-minute mark, and it is still Wolves 0, Tottenham 0.
Just to ask a quick question, Jackson, while we're talking about Porro and the position of the right wing-back. And since the arrival of the Spanish, it's Emerson Royale's fortune has changed completely, isn't it? From a player that so many fans didn't want to player who's been nominated for Player of the Season for February. What a complete turnaround for the Brazilian.
Yeah, I don't understand because how it's happened, because Emerson Royale, he was a bit of a joke figure in that side, but sometimes you need just good, honest, healthy competition to just get that to sort of give the first player a little bit of a rocket, because Emerson Royal has been absolutely fantastic lately. He scored that lovely goal against West Ham a couple of weeks ago. But Pedro Porro, he's been given his chance today, and he has done pretty well, all things considered. But on another day, he'd have had a brace.
Thank you very much, Jackson Cole. Let's go quickly through the full-time scores happening in the Bundesliga. We were so concerned with the goals that keep going and going in the second half in the Premier League that we haven't forgotten about the Bundesliga, but it sort of took our mind away from it, shall we say, just a little bit. So the final scores, it's Augsburg 2, Werder Bremen 1. Finished 0-0 between Borussia Mönchengladbach and Freiburg. Mönchengladbach had a player sent off. Bochum 0, Schalke 2. Union Berlin 0, Cologne 0, and it finished Mainz 1, Hoffenheim 0. And let's have a full-time report on that game with Jake Bowers.
Yes, as you were saying, the excitement lies in the Premier League. However, it does not lie with Hoffenheim, as they have got another loss on the record. Big credit to Mainz, though. They played their game plan well, got that goal early and then just held on. They really didn't have a lot to worry about from Hoffenheim. It didn't offer much. The only shining credit for them, I said, was the double strike substitution, but neither could yield much out of it. I think Bebu came close once, but other than that, nothing substantial for Hoffenheim. There was a 95th minute free kick from Robert Skov from Hoffenheim, which could have been an absolutely incredible moment for them. But unfortunately, no praise for that free kick as he skied it completely, which sums up Hoffenheim's game and almost season. This does mean Mainz climb to 7th now, only 3 points off Eintracht Frankfurt, who have got a game in hand on 38 points, but that would be a great achievement for Mainz to get to 6th place, pushing on those European spots. However, at the other end of the table, Hoffenheim have now slipped into 16th, level on points with aforementioned Schalke and Bochum, who are, as themselves, along with Stuttgart, are going to struggle in these last few weeks to really get some games under their belt and some points as they need to climb out of that relegation zone. However, a good day for Mainz. Bo Svensson's men continue to pick up points where they shouldn't really on paper, and it's great to see, really. So we leave here in Germany with Mainz 1 up to 7th place and Hoffenheim 0 down to 16th place.
Thank you very much. That's Jake Bowers' final report on Mainz against Hoffenheim. Now, just before we go to Richard Bond, I've just got to show you the stats that's happening at the Emirates as we speak. Now, Arsenal had 80% possession throughout the whole game. They had 22 shots with 6 of them on target, and they've had 13 corners. Yet the score is still 2-2, but no wonder with that position and with them stats, Richard Bond, they actually hit the post.
Yes. Well, this is reaching boiling point. This one, we're coming close to the next goal in this game. I'm sure of it. And it's Bukayo Saka who's hit the post. It was a lovely ball in on the right hand side from Saka, and it's just gone clipped off one of the defenders, and it's just gone hit the post. Come back to Saka. He's tried to put the ball back into the box. It's hit Stevens on the hand. By the looks of things. Whether he had his hand up or not, I'm not sure. It would be given, but it went to VAR. They didn't give nothing again, but it still remains the same. It's 2-2 here, but things are just, is a winner in this somewhere, I'm sure of it. It's, at the moment, Arsenal 2, Bournemouth 2.
As we mentioned earlier, Palace are playing with 10 men, and in fact, it seems like Arsenal just came close again. They just had the 14th corner. 14th corners for Arsenal. And they're just trying to get the points. As you know, like we said, on paper means nothing in the end of the day. But let's go to Villa Park. And as we mentioned, Palace, in fact, they're playing with 10 men with a player sent off, Isaac Dilks. And Villa, obviously, they probably came the closest again, haven't they, to double that lead?
Yeah, Villa are just toying with them now. Obviously, with the man advantage, they were already controlling the possession, much more so than Palace, and they're just knocking the ball about with real freedom at the moment. It's Leon Bailey who makes a really good chance for John McGinn. Bailey, who's just come on for Jacob Ramsey on the right-hand side, beats his man on the right, as he should, as he normally does. We see so often. Cuts the ball back with his weaker right foot. John McGinn's there waiting to pass it into the net, and it's a crucial save by Vicente Guaita. Brilliant work as he keeps his side in it for now. But like I say, this game looks very much in the pocket of Aston Villa at the moment, and Unai Emery, his side, are managing the game so well. And I really struggle to think where any equaliser could come from for Palace now. But with just over 10 minutes to go, still Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0.
Ash Sandover, it is Stamford Bridge with 8 minutes to go, Ash, and a triple substitution for the home side.
Yeah, triple substitution, all in stages. It's Raheem Sterling's come off, Conor Gallagher's come on, João Felix is off, Dennis Zakaria is on, and Kovacic is off, and Chukwuemeka is on as well. For Leeds, they've had a few people that have come off as well. Arison has gone off, Fernandez is on, Rutter, who done really well up tops, to be honest with you, held the ball up really well. He's off, and Nonto, who was fantastic last week against Southampton, he's come off, and Jack Harrison is just left the field now recently, and Sam Greenwood's come on. But still 1-0 here at the Bridge.
Let's go back to the Emirates. 10 minutes to go, and another twist and turn, isn't it? It's keep giving, doesn't it, this game, Richard Bond?
Oh, it does. I'm scratching my head how Arsenal aren't have another penalty here. They've another penalty appeal. I think it must be 4 or 5 now, really. Nelson lifts the ball in through the area to Odegaard over the top from the right-hand side. Strikes the top of Sensini's arm, and it's gone out for a corner. VAR had a look again, but nothing is given. You know, I'm not sure, but it's 2-2 here at the moment now. We've still got 10 minutes to go. Arsenal 2, Bournemouth 2.
Did they actually miss that player, the goal poacher, like we mentioned with Chelsea earlier? I was speaking to Ash Sandiford about missing that guy up front who scored goals. Of course, Arsenal have got that player, haven't they, in Gabriel Jesus, but he's been injured for a while. Probably would have made a change, wouldn't he?
Yeah, well, Jesus is nearly fit, judging by what Mikel Arteta was saying in his press conference this week. And I think, depending on those injuries that have happened over the last week now, with like today we've lost Trossard and Tekia. He's been carrying a knock for the last couple of games, so it's a tough one really, because you don't really want to rush him back, so they're going to need him in the games to come towards the end of the season. But like you say, they need that kind of predator really, just to get them over the line and get those crucial goals when the ball is hovering in and around the box. But yeah, 9 minutes to go here. Arsenal 2, Bournemouth 2.
Just give you the latest updates from the La Liga. 6-7 minutes gone. Still Almeria 0, Villarreal 0. In the Nigerian Premier League, it's still Abia Warriors 0, Rivers United 0. And I tell you, it's 4 minutes till half time in the African Champions League. And now it's Al Ahly 2, Cotton Sport 0. So Al Ahly of Egypt, who's one of the most popular teams in the continent, are leading by 2-0 through Kanduki, who scored his second goal for Al Ahly. Next, let's go to Jackson Cole and at Molineux. Jackson, 12 minutes to go due to the delay of the start of the second half, which is longer than everyone else in the rest of the games. And Fraser Forrester is doing a very good job in deputising for Hugo Lloris at the moment.
He certainly is. He made that brilliant save to deny Raul Jimenez, and then a short time ago, an absolutely outstanding stop to deny Ruben Neves from distance. If that went in, that would have been a cert for goal of the month contender. And then just a few minutes after that, the substitute for Wolves, Mateus Cunha, he had a glorious chance, but he fluffed his lines at the important moment. And then just seconds ago, Harry Kane, he's been very quiet this afternoon, but he got his first shot at goal, but it whistled just over the bar. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I cannot believe there has not been a goal in this match at Molineux so far, but it's still Wolves 0, Tottenham 0.
It's going to be a missed opportunity for Tottenham, isn't it, Jackson? Because especially after Newcastle losing to Manchester City, this has been a fantastic opportunity to grab the 3 points and keep that distance even further.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, John. Technically, they'll have gone a point ahead of Newcastle, but yeah, Wolves away, they're threatened by relegation, and Wolves, they've also made 5 substitutions. There was a heart and mouth moment for Julian Lopetegui when Max Kilman needed treatment again. He is still able to carry on. But yeah, real missed opportunity if Tottenham can't get over the line. But I do not believe for 1 second that we will not see a goal in this match. So which end? I don't know. But still, Wolves 0, Tottenham 0.
Now, Jackson is missing all the goals at Molineux, but I can tell you Ed Downing is having a time of his life. 3 goals already in that game in the Amex Stadium. It's Brighton 3, West Ham 0, and West Ham, the away fans in West Ham, Ed, showing the feelings known, haven't they?
Yes, chanting you're getting sacked in the morning to their own manager, so you can understand how they're feeling today. And to be honest, whilst, I think David Moyes is a really good manager, they have not been at all good enough today, West Ham. We're just seeing Evan Ferguson and Karol Matoma leave the field here to be replaced by, I believe, Dennis Undev and Jeremy Sarmiento. And look, for Brighton, this has been a stroll in the park for them. They've not had to get out of first gear, to be honest, and they've scored 3 goals, 3 really high-quality goals, so you have to give credit to the home side. But West Ham, considering how much they spent in the summer, this has been nowhere near good enough, and David Moyes looks on with, again, like a face like thunder. And, this could be one of his last games in charge of West Ham, I'm afraid. This has been end-of-days type stuff for the team in East London. But yeah, Brighton just sort of playing out the clock. They're just passing it about, trying to forge another opportunity, get some youngsters on. Really easy day for them. West Ham absolutely desperate here today, John. 3-0, 84 minutes played.
What's the alternative for West Ham in sacking David Moyes? Surely before you sack, you would think outside and to see who's actually available. And when you actually look, it's not a lot of managers available that would come to West Ham. But before you answer that question, we have another goal. Now, the only game that was missing a goal wasn't at Molineux, and that's where it came. It's Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0. And again, we spoke about Tottenham trying to capitalise on Newcastle losing. Now they're trailing by a goal to 0. Let's go back to Ed quickly. On the question on alternatives for David Moyes, anyone that come to mind to replace?
Yeah, there's one manager.
The manager.
John. I think Rafa Benitez could do a good job for West Ham. I think he's got all the right credentials. I think he'd be a bit of a coup, truth be told, for West Ham. He had a bit of a bad time at Everton, but I feel that there was sort of extenuating circumstances there as well. I think he could come in, solidify the team, and provide them with a good basis to start next season, to be honest. But we'll see if that's the way they want to go, West Ham. They're not the most trigger-happy club in terms of sacking managers, but I think David Moyes, I think his days are numbered here. This is a really, really poor display. But yeah, Rafa Benitez would be my shout.
Yes, time's running out for David Moyes and time's running out for Arsenal. 3 minutes to go till full time, plus injury time, Richard Bond, and it's still 2-2. But Arsenal still trying to get that third goal, but it doesn't seem. It's 3 minutes to go. It's not a long time in football, is it?
It's not, but they're knocking the door and they're having more VAR appeals. They're just having as many of them as they're having shots today. It's unbelievable stuff. There's another opportunity came in. Odegaard sent the corner into the box. Bournemouth trying to clear their lines, but indecisiveness with Gabriel getting towards the ball. Billings there too, but it does hit a Bournemouth midfielder on the arm. Again, not really given anything by the referee. Seemed to set a precedent in the first half with the decision making regarding some of these handballs, but Arsenal pelting balls in the box, and they're trying everything. They're throwing the juggler. Granit Xhaka's just come on as well now, and we still got plenty of time left in this game. 3 minutes, maybe not much, but we're going to have a bit of stoppage time as well. Plenty of action still to come here. Arsenal 2, Bournemouth 2.
Well, I can tell you that David Moyes' position in the club is unbearable. Now it's Brighton 4, West Ham 0, and surely it's a day that David Moyes would want to forget. He's already under pressure from the West Ham faithful, but it's another goal for Brighton with a minute to go. It's Brighton 4, West Ham United 0. But let's go to Jackson Cole and the news of the goal for Wolves against Tottenham.
Yes, it's Wolves 1, Tottenham 0, and it's the substitute Adama Traore, an absolutely superb finish from Traore, and it's very typical of Tottenham, isn't it? Giorgio Chiellini said it is the history of the Tottenham, and there's another huge missed opportunity for them. They couldn't capitalise on Newcastle losing at Manchester City, and Wolves are heading for what looks to be a very priceless win in their bid to avoid relegation. Approaching 85 minutes, and it's Wolves 1, Tottenham 0.
We're playing the first minute of injury time at Stamford Bridge, and it's Chelsea 1, Leeds United 0. Let's go to Ash Sandiford on the latest couple of minutes of the game.
Yeah, just 90 minutes on the clock, and it's still Chelsea 1, Leeds 0, and they're just closing. Chelsea are closing on their 9th Premier League clean sheet of the season, and they're really. I'll tell you what, this has been a dogged performance from Chelsea. You can see the anxiety of Graham Potter and the fans here at the Bridge. Leeds just had a small chance just very shortly before, but it's still, as it stands, it's Chelsea 1, Leeds 0.
Let's go to the Amex Stadium in the news of that 4th goal for Brighton, and that could be the killing bullet, isn't it, for David Moyes' team? Well, it could be probably the last goal that probably David Moyes probably will concede as manager, would he?
Yeah, John, they've just panned up to the West Ham owner in the stands there, I think David Sullivan, and he is not happy, and he has every right not to be with this goal from Danny Welbeck. Really, really good finish, actually. He puts it up on the edge of the box and just fires one into the bottom left corner. Harry Kane-esque, I may say. No sort of backlift. It's low and hard across. It's pretty unsavable, to be fair, for Lucas Fabianski. But that sums up Brighton's day. Really well worked goal, and it really sums up West Ham's day as well. Really, really poor day for them. But 4-0 to Brighton. We're coming up to the 90th minute. That's job done for the blue team in Brighton.
We're playing injury time at Villa Park. Villa 1, Palace 0. Isaac Dilks.
Yeah, Palace are knocking on the door here, even though they're a man down. They've had multiple corners, but nothing's quite fell to a Palace player in the box in the last few minutes as we just move into injury time here at Villa Park. There's been wholesale changes on either side. Notably, John Duran, the new signing for Villa, comes on for Ollie Watkins as a target man presence up front. And James McArthur comes on for Sambi Lokonga just to try and add some energy to that midfield as they are a man down and crucially chasing the game. Palace not quite created anything of real quality so far, but you never know. Could be a bit of late drama here at Villa Park if Palace to get anything out of this game. Still Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0.
We're playing the second minute of 6 minutes of injury time. The Emirates. Richard Bond, are we getting any closer to a winner for Arsenal?
Arsenal are just throwing the kitchen sinker. They're putting everything into these attacks, and they're putting balls and balls into the box, but everyone goes in. There is this big centre-half, Chris Mepham, there every time to clear. He's had a sensational game today, as has Sensini and Stevens. You know, the three of them now in the second half, they've gone into a tight five. They rode their luck a couple of times, but you know, they're stopping everything that's going into the box. 6 minutes of stoppage time though in this one though, so we've still got a couple of minutes left on the clock. Arsenal still trying their best at the moment, but it remains Arsenal 2, Bournemouth 2.
I can tell you his finish at Stamford Bridge is Chelsea 1, Leeds United 0, and finish as well at Brighton at the Amex Stadium. It's Brighton 4, West Ham 0. We'll be going to Ash Sandiford and Ed Downing for full-time reports very, very shortly. But let's go to Jackson Cole quickly. In fact, before I go to Jackson Cole, there is another goal in that game. And Wolverhampton Wanderers have scored the second goal of the game. 2 goals in the last 6 minutes for Wolves. And Tottenham, talking about capitalising, it hasn't work out well for them this afternoon. And with all the hard work against West Ham, Chelsea and Manchester City over the last couple of weeks, and now they're leading by 2-0. In fact, I can tell you that it's been disallowed. So it still remains Wolves 1, Tottenham 0. But let's go to Ash Sandiford on full-time report on Chelsea's win over Leeds United.
Yes, full-time here at Stamford Bridge. It's Chelsea 1. I can't believe it. It's Chelsea 1. They've got themselves to win. It's fantastic stuff here The players are absolutely going mad. They're so pleased. Graham Potter, a smile for the first time. We've seen a smile from Graham Potter. It's a great performance from Chelsea. Very dogged and dominant performance from them. And Ben Chilwell today, guys, he looked absolutely incredible. He looked super fit, super sharp, and created assist for Wesley Fofana's finish. So it's full time here at Stamford Bridge. Wonderful stuff here. Graham Potter will be breathing a sigh of relief, to be honest with you. It's Chelsea 1, Leeds 0.
Next, let's go to the Amex Stadium. It finished Brighton 4, West Ham United 0 with full-time report with Ed Dowling.
Easy 3 points for the home side, Brighton, today. They were just simply better than West Ham. 4 goals to the good today. West Ham not laying a glove on the home side. It all started off with Mitoma being fouled, brought down in the box by Jared Bowen, where he gave away a penalty and it was easily dispatched by Alexis McAllister. There was goals galore after that with Mitoma and Pascal Gross, and who can forget Danny Welbeck from the edge of the box just firing into the corner to make it 4. Really strong performance from Brighton today, but desperate times for West Ham. Could this be David Moyes' last game in charge of the Hammers? I think so, John. But it's ended here in Brighton, 4-0 to the home side.
I can tell you it finished at Villa Park and Aston Villa 1, Palace 0, but they're still playing the Emirates. Let's go to Richard Bond quickly. In the last minute of the game, still 2-2 Richard Bond. But can Arsenal complete the comeback?
So close. Rice Nelson this time is the one that's got the nearest, and he's unlucky with a goal-bound effort from the edge of the box. Really, as such, it was really fortuitous save from Neto, who's just managed to stop the ball via a deflection in the middle of the goal. He was a bit unsighted, but it would have been harsh on Bournemouth, who have really defended resolutely in these last sort of 10-15 minutes, while Arsenal have just been pounding at them. We're really coming into the closing seconds here. It's looking like it's going to be a draw, but you never know. It's Arsenal 2, Bournemouth 2.
Yes, we come into the last few seconds of that game. Still Wolves 1, Tottenham 0. They're playing with 4 minutes injury time at the Molineux. But while we're waiting for the scores, let me tell you what's coming up tomorrow in the show of Football Live.
Football Live returns tomorrow afternoon on Brilla FM with a massive match in the Premier League. It's at Anfield. It's the North West Derby. 2 big rivals coming face to face. Liverpool against the Carabao Cup winners, Manchester United. That's tomorrow afternoon with Josh Bailey right here on Football Live on Brilla FM from the slightly later time of 5:20 in the afternoon. And we'll also have matches in the Bundesliga in Germany, and Inter Milan are in action in Serie A in Italy. That's tomorrow afternoon from 5:20.
Well, as we said, we finished at Aston Villa. Let's go to Isaac Dales for the Aston Villa's win over Crystal Palace.
Yeah, a poor day at the office for Patrick Vieira's Crystal Palace side at Villa Park, as Unai Emery's Aston Villa take a 1-0 win at home and, crucially, take all 3 points for themselves. Palace had an early goal by Zaha ruled out by VAR and then struggled to create anything of note, really, all game. And even less so after the red card to Cheikh Doucouré after multiple fouls in the space of a couple of minutes led to him being dismissed early. Villa had a majority of the ball, as you might expect from a game like this, and all game took the lead through an own goal by Joachim Andersen after a brilliant ball by Matty Cash. And then from there on in, Unai Emery's men managed the game really, really well. Might as you expect from Unai Emery's side, a great tactician, and 1-0 was all they needed to come away with the 3 points at home today. So it's all finished here. Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0.
And the comeback is complete at the Emirates! Playing in the 7th minute of injury time, and Arsenal has scored their 3rd. After being 2-0 down, Reece Nelson has completed the comeback for the Gunners. It's Arsenal 3, Bournemouth 2. What a comeback. We'll be going to Richard Bond very, very shortly for the news of that goal. We've got about 2.5 minutes at the end of the show, and I'm sure we can come back to Richard Bond. Let's go, in fact, to the Emirates. And how big is that goal, Richard Bond?
Oh, my word. It's an absolute massive goal for Arsenal's title hopes here. It's 3-2 here. What a comeback. What a game. Well, breathtaking stuff. Rice Nelson has scored with what must be the last kick of the game. Drove one from the edge of the box right into the top corner. The crowd have gone absolutely wild here. Oh, I'm breathless too, but Arsenal look like they've won it here. It's just closing out. Yeah, there's the final whistle. It's Arsenal the winners. Unbelievable day. Arsenal 3, Bournemouth 2.
Wow, what a game, what a result for the Gunners. Let's go for a quick full-time report from Jackson Cole on Wolverhampton Wanderers' win over Tottenham.
Yes, it's finished. Wolves 1, Tottenham 0. This looks set to be a huge result for Julian Lopetegui's men in their survival bid. While this will be hugely damaging to Tottenham's bid to play Champions League football next season. Adama Traore, he got the winner with a goal worthy of winning any match. He finished just inside the box on the rebound, which crashed in off the bar after Raul Jimenez's strike was parried back into play by Fraser Forster. A magnificent effort from a Wolves side that were in the wars at Molineux, with Diego Costa being stretched off in the first half, while Max Kilman had a couple of injuries in that match. They also asked plenty of questions of Forster in the second half, with Jimenez and Ruben Neves testing the Spurs goalkeeper. Nevertheless, Tottenham will be so confused as to how they didn't get something out of this game, having hit the crossbar twice through Son and Pedro Porro, while the pair also had 2 huge chances in the second half. Harry Kane, he had 3 chances at the end. It's really over to Liverpool now in the race for top 4, because they play Manchester United tomorrow, and Tottenham and Newcastle have dropped points. It's Wolves 1, Tottenham 0.
Let's go quickly with the Emirates with a full-time report from Richard Bond.
Yes, so it's Arsenal 3, Bournemouth 2 here, and what a comeback win for Arsenal, 3-2 after going 2 goals down. Partey, White and Nelson got the win for Arsenal in the end after Billen and Sensini had put Bournemouth ahead. Unbelievable scenes here. 3-2 to Arsenal at the Emirates. What a game.
Thank you very much, Richard. Let's go have a quick recap on today's scores in the English Premier League. It finished early on. Manchester City 2, Newcastle 0, Arsenal 3, Bournemouth 2, Aston Villa 1, Palace 0, Brighton 4, West Ham 0, Chelsea 1, Leeds United 0, and Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, and Tottenham 0. I'm afraid that's all we have for you here on Football Live for today's show. Please join us again tomorrow with Josh Bailey and the crew. Thanks for all the excellent reporters that we have today, and to the producer Pat Warrett. I'm John Kane, and this was Football Live. Until tomorrow, goodbye for now.